Oral history interviews provide a lot of information beyond what's said and spoken in the interview. You get to learn about the interviewee's personality, how they interact with the interviewer, so you get a fuller picture of their story, not just in their words, but in their body language and how they express themselves.
Mis nietos se sienten cubanos. Cuando tú le tocas el punto de cubano, otras nacionalidades no lo he visto, pero en ellos sí.
The Luis J. Botifol Oral History Project is a community history initiative that documents the stories of early exiles from Cuba. It's an important initiative because it captured the stories of the early waves of exile from after the 1959 revolution, from professionals to entrepreneurs, artists and creatives. So we have firsthand accounts of their migration stories, as well as their experience in the South Florida community primarily.
I was never surprised that we were going to leave Cuba. It was just not expected the way that it happened.
My last conversation with my mother was at the airport when she told me, "You're not going to be there long, but I have to get you out of here now."
The oral history projects that we've done have a really wide range of participants, from entrepreneurs to political figures, as well as artists and writers, civic activists. So we have a really broad range within the project, and it really captures the full story of the Cuban diaspora experience. And what we're wanting to do to expand the project is to capture more everyday stories. So for example, stories of LGBTQ experiences, stories of diverse racial and ethnic groups within the Cuban diaspora. We think it's very important to have the full picture within the project. We also want to capture the stories of the average person.
I think our starting place, and I think it makes sense for us as an institution given our location, is to be a place that is collecting the stories of the Cuban diaspora experience understood in its full diversity. So I think really expanding the range of the stories we collect is really, really important in providing scholars, students, but also community members a sort of a fuller portrait of our community in all of its richness. We're seeking to sort of incubate here in terms of oral history being a really important source for academic research.
And we have had very generous funding for the project from different sources. For example, the Amigos of the Cuban Heritage Collection, our friends group, were really integral in getting the project off the ground in 2008. We've also received independent grants from, for example, the Marlins Foundation in 2013 to do a human rights oral history project as well. We really need a consistent funding source to be able to grow the project to the level that we want it to be at. And something like an endowment would help us to be able to have consistency in the project and continue to grow and expand into. There's definitely a sense of urgency in the project, particularly early on. When we started the project in 2008, we focused on the first waves of exiles, people who at that point were in their 70s, 80s, 90s. And the key thing about oral history work is that if you don't capture the story while the person is alive, it's gone, and their connection to that history won't be recorded. So we're very keen to continue recording sort of our older generations.